Hello, you're watching Telecom TV. We are at Broadband World Forum 2016 here in London Docklands, and I'm talking with Chris Howarth, who is a Managing Director and Communications Industry Lead at Accenture.
Hi.
Chris, good to see you again.
Yeah, and you?
You're in from the wilds of Wales for the event. I'd like to begin by asking you this. You work within Accenture, and you're talking to your clients, your customers all the time. What do they tell you about what they think about the network providers, the CSPs and so on? What sort of feedback do you get?
Well, I think one Accenture research annually now goes out to a number of consumers, and this year was our largest survey, went out to 28,000 consumers. And the findings of that, one of the big focus areas of that this year was the Internet of Things, and quite specifically in a consumer play, homes. So how, if you ignore the normal devices like phones and laptops and other things, what really focused on home automation devices, what was the proliferation of those devices, and what's stopping that becoming higher? And that's the survey revealed some interesting facts. First of all, it's still very low penetration in homes, particularly in the UK. UK is slightly behind other parts of Europe. Still single-digit figures of people who are genuinely who've set up some level of home automation. But that number has doubled over the last year, but it's still single-digit percentages. What is interesting is where people a year ago had one device, they're now on average up to 10 to 15. So we've seen that where people do kind of cross the bridge into, even if it's a connected thermostat, and connected thermostat is also the largest use case at the moment, which is like, it's not potentially the most exciting area, but it's an area that people often start with, and then they move into cameras, into smart plugs is the second highest at the moment. So we do see once people have got over that initial inertia, they are willing to expand dramatically the number of devices they have. When we asked people who are thinking of moving into this area why they don't do it, the two most compelling reasons that they give were, one, concerns about implementation and setting these things up, so ability to serve the products up to begin with, and secondly was ability for somebody to support them in the home. So they're not concerned that the technology doesn't work. They're also not concerned about price and value. They indicated that on average, and so there's higher levels, but on average across the 28,000 respondents, they'd pay £500 per annum to have a set of basic connected services there. So the desire is there for the outcomes, the money is there in terms of willingness to pay. Their number one concern is ability to support these devices in the home. And also their concern is who would do that in a home environment in the same way telcos do for their broadband service today. Who would do that for a set of connected services?
That's very interesting. Would it be, I'm presuming it could be a utility, it could be a company doing it on behalf of a utility, I don't know.
Well, so we asked them also, if you did have devices, or when you do already have devices, to rank in order the people that you would trust to serve and manage that.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
Now in the UK, across a range of products, on average, comms providers come out fourth and fifth. And they come behind utilities, and they also come behind kind of specialist companies and also tech companies. So people will be more willing to trust a tech company than a comms provider, which is interesting because the third reason why people are concerned about them is ability for the network to manage those products. And there's nobody better placed to manage the network, the connectivity and the devices in the home that are all running off a comms provider's broadband hub than a comms provider, but they're fourth and fifth. In Germany, they come out first and second when asked who would you trust. So in the German market, the comms providers have been able to put forward a view that they are the people that can connect the home, and then they are the people that can manage that connection, and that's really the key. It's the ability to manage a connected home, because people don't want to have multiple apps, multiple devices, They want somebody to come in and just make it seamless.
Make it work.
Yeah, make it work.
I'm very interested in the fact that nobody mentions security fairly high up there, because that is, people I speak to, and being where we are in the industry and perhaps knowing more about it than the average man in the street sort of thing, is that there's a lot of concern about security of these home systems, and Wi-Fi open, not necessarily encrypted properly, everything else. Yeah. That didn't figure very high on that?
No, in the devices currently, no. So if you think of the kind of basic hierarchy of needs, it's actually the devices are following that path. So at the moment the devices have been very focused on comfort and hygiene factors. So it's things like it's lighting, it's thermostats and plugs, and it's just basic kind of making my life easier. The next wave of products we're seeing coming through, which are less penetrated but are definitely coming through, are things like home entry systems, security cameras, facial recognition in the home. So the next wave of products, I think, will now start to get into an area which is very, very focused first on security, so personal security and security of your family. And secondly, therefore, you also get into an area where they are things that could damage your personal security as well. So, if someone does tap into your home entry system, they're in. Right? So, so I think the next wave of, whereas people are a lot less concerned about privacy in terms of their thermostat settings, right? So I think the next wave of products, one, it's good in that there's going to be a lot of investment in these products, but two, privacy, security, ability to be kind of very, very robust, and it will be important.
But finally, it seems then the actual cost itself, you mentioned £500 a year or somewhere in there, isn't a primary consideration.
No, I think people are willing to significantly expand their spend on what they see as just an extended set of communications devices, and we see it in America. Just for the basic services you get in the UK, are willing to spend significantly more than you do in the UK.
True.
So we don't see that as a barrier. What we do see as a barrier, and what the consumers are telling us, is that the concerns about who can manage that experience. Who could create an experience at home that would allow people to easily add in devices, like almost self-serve, I just want this, this and this. They're going to come from different manufacturers. There's no one manufacturer who's kind of dominating every single bit of this market. So you just want somebody to come in and say, these will work seamlessly in my home.
Really, really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Chris Howarth, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much. Cheers.